Hey everyone, it's Joey from trycatchthrow.io. Today we're going to take a look at how to style an element based on its sibling count. In other words, how many siblings are in a given area. You can actually style them differently depending on the count of those siblings. So let's take a look at how we can do that here. First thing I want to do is go over our markup for this example. So we have one container that's just a div, and then we have 4 different siblings here, and I just gave them a class of child. As you can see on my container, I have display flex, margin 0 auto, and justify content space around, just to evenly space out these 4 different boxes that I have. So the styling for each of these boxes by default is, I just gave them a box sizing of border box, a width of 25%, a min height of 200 pixels just to give them dimension. I gave them a border, but honestly they don't really need it. I'll just get rid of that. I just gave them a pink background and then centered the text and made it white. So what would happen if we only have one item? So sometimes when you're working with HTML, it's being dynamically generated from the back end, and you might have a different number of siblings going on. So if I want the element, if it's all by itself, to be larger and take up more space within the container, how might I do that? Well, we can actually use a combination of pseudo selectors. So if an item is both a first child and a last child, it means it's an only child. So this is what the CSS would look like for that. So I can say child, last child, first child, and set the width to 50%. So I'm going to go ahead and erase 3 of them, so there's just one of them behind. And you can see now this one element actually takes up 50% of the width. How are you going to handle a situation where you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or n number of siblings? Well, there's a cool little trick using the pseudo selector nth last child. So nth last child basically says how many from the end am I? So if you're 2 from the end, and you're also the first child, how many items do you think, or how many siblings are there? 2, right? If you're 2 from the end and you happen to also be the first child, that means there are only 2 child siblings. And so what we do is we select the nth last child, that's the second from the end, but also the first one, so we know there's 2 of them. But this selector by itself only will select that first child, right? So then we have to grab all of its siblings. So then we use that same selector, but then we just grab all of its siblings. So this little tilde symbol here, this is a selector for grabbing all of the siblings of an element, of a matched element. So we just go ahead and grab that first one, and then we grab all of its siblings. So this is a way to style these elements based on whether or not there are 2 of them. So we have our default, we have for 1, here we have for 2, so this is, we're changing the width now to 40%. So let me go ahead and add some of these items back in here. We'll just make 2 of them. And now you can see they're 40%. And then just for an example, I also did 4. So the only thing you would have to change in these instances, if you want to use this code for yourself, is obviously the class name. So you might have a unique class name here for all the siblings. Then all you do is have to change the number inside here. So if it's 4, you want to target when there are 4 children, and 5 up through however many you want, right? And there you have it. That's how you can style siblings based on how many of them there are. So thanks for watching. I hope this might help you out in the future so that you can avoid some pesky JavaScript and trying to figure out how many there are, and you can do this in CSS. I'm going to link in the description below to the original article that I found about how to do this from Leah Veru. Also, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more little CSS tricks and tips like this. I'll also include a link to the CodePen example that I have here from the video, and we'll see you next time.